If you have a glitch in the Matrix story you'd like to share with the channel, go to astheravendreams.com and click the button to send it my way. Or you can email me at astheravendreams@gmail.com. And of course, thank you. Hey Raven, I recently discovered your YouTube channel and I really enjoy it. Your stories are interesting. They make me feel like I'm not alone in experiencing weird stuff, and you're a truly talented narrator. Thank you. I come from a very down-to-earth working-class family, and I grew up in a rural area in Norway. Both me and my family are logical, level-headed people. I grew up to become a lawyer and have lived a quite normal life with work, family, and all the usual stuff. Nevertheless, I have encountered a lot of strange things in my life. Things that defy any kind of logic. Things that I have never asked to experience or even considered possible. Things that I couldn't have made up even if I wanted to. I have numerous weird stories, but for starters, I'll only tell you one of them. If you want more, please let me know. It was the 1960s, and I was a little girl, about 5 years old. I remember this event as clear as if it had happened today. It was broad daylight, and I had visited some neighborhood boys about my age that lived less than a mile away. Even though I was only 5, I was allowed to go alone through a small forest to see them. This was quite normal, and I was never afraid. I knew the way perfectly. As I was on my way back home, I went through the forest and, for some reason, I stopped by a small field close to where my grandparents lived. I was a little grumpy at the time as the boys had been a little rough with me, leaving me with some small bruises. It was more annoying than painful. All of a sudden I froze, and just stared at what happened right beside me. As if from out of nowhere came 2 brown horses with a brown carriage behind them. In the carriage was a grown woman. The woman looked very classy with a bright blue long dress, and she had a big brown hat with some kind of ornaments on it. The carriage had a grayish top. Most people had stopped riding by horse and carriage by then, so this was highly unusual to me. Especially a carriage like that. Very expensive looking. Being a little girl from an environment without glam or abundance of any kind, I had never before seen such a classy lady either. I had seen pictures of some, and I remember that I thought to myself that she must be a rich lady from a big city, even though I had never even been to any big cities at all. She was not from around my area, that's for sure. We had a TV with only one channel, but I was way too young to be allowed to watch westerns or any other films or series. I had therefore never seen a western or anything like that, but in hindsight, what I saw looked like something one could have seen in an old western series. I just stared at the lady, the horses, and the carriage for several seconds as they passed right beside me. Neither the lady nor the horses noticed me as they passed. I was puzzled by this strange and unexpected sight. And then I noticed something that made this even weirder. The horses and the carriage did not touch the ground. It was as if they passed on a normal road, only that it was maybe 2 or 3 feet above the ground. Then, I realized, even if it hadn't been in the middle of the air, it wouldn't have been on a road because there was no road there. I was in a field just outside a forest. But it got even weirder. I followed them, wide-eyed as they passed me, but after a few seconds the whole image disappeared into thin air. Like one moment it was definitely there and the next it was just gone. There was nowhere that they could have hid because it was an open field. I ran home to my mother and told her what had happened. She actually took me seriously and said that she could see that I told her the truth. I wasn't a child who would make up stories like that and present them as true either. She could not explain to me how I could have seen this. She consulted other family members and someone said that I must have seen some kind of mirage. None of them could explain properly what the heck a mirage was. At least, not so that a 5-year-old girl could understand it. Several days later, my mom told me that my grandparents had told her that at least 50 years prior, there actually had been a dirt road exactly where I saw the lady pass me. The road was moved closer to my grandparents' house, and gave way to the little grassy field that was now there. My family thought that that was really weird. There's no way that I could have known that. To make things absolutely ridiculous, 2 years later, a new, broad asphalt road was established from the highway a couple of miles away, through the field, and all the way through the little forest to my neighborhood boys' house. Guess where they laid the road? Right exactly where I had seen the lady and the horses, and where there had been a road before a long time ago. I've been at that place many, many more times since. My family still owns the surrounding property, and I regularly visit them. But I've never experienced anything like that ever since, there or at any other place. To this day, I still wonder what the hell happened that day. Hello, Raven. Let me start by letting you know how much I enjoy your channel and thank you for all the effort you put into it. Thank you. I've been meaning to submit this for such a long time, but it just mentally exhausts me to relive it. This might not seem like a big deal, but to me it is. Even a bigger deal than giving birth or dying, because those can be explained, and this experience that happened to me just cannot. This happened in November of 2016. It was Thursday, November 10th. I got up to get ready for work just like every other day, got dressed, went downstairs, marked the day before off the calendar and went into the kitchen, but something wasn't right. I went back to the calendar and just stared in shock. Instead of it being Thursday the 10th, it was Thursday the 11th. How could that be? I get paid every Friday and knew the next day was supposed to be the 11th. It was the election year between Donald and Hillary, and my roommate voted on Tuesday the 8th. I remember, so I asked him what the date was on that day, and he said it was the 9th. I'm very open-minded and have had a lot of weird things happen to me in my life, so I just went with it. What else could I do? Anyway, I finished getting ready for work and waited outside for my boss to pick me up as usual. I'm her only employee and we clean upscale homes. While I waited, I kept checking the date on my phone and it stated that it was Thursday, November 11th. No getting around it. So my boss picks me up and I casually ask her what the date was and she said the 11th. As we were driving, I noticed that she was acting really nice, which was very odd because she's naturally a bit mean-spirited. Very strange indeed. At the house, the calendar said the 11th too, and I didn't have to do the usual dirty work all by myself, because she actually helped. I was truly flabbergasted. When we were done, we stopped at the usual store and I stood outside smoking a cigarette and looking at the sky. It had rained the night before, and also we had a little shower earlier. Well, it was eerie. The clouds, instead of moving in the same direction, they were going in a different direction, which I have never seen before. It was amazing. I had absolutely no doubt that I was in a parallel universe. I never realized when the shift occurred. Anyway, after she dropped me off at home, my roommate took me to my mother's house because I help her to take a shower and wash her hair every Thursday. So I asked her if she has ever voted as late of a date as the 9th ever before, and she asked me what in the world I was talking about. And I said, well, today is the 11th. To which she said, no it's not, it's the 10th. So I went to look at her calendar and sure enough, it was back to the 10th. I was back. I don't know when it happened, I never felt or noticed anything. A smooth transition there and back. So the next day, my boss picked me up and I asked her if I had asked her what the date was the day before, and she said, "Yeah, I told you it was the 10th. Why? What's wrong with you?" So, back to her snarky self. I was back for better or for worse. Anyway, I consider this a gift. I promise on everything in my soul that this is the truth. Like I said, it may not be a big deal to anyone else, but it certainly is to me. Thank you, Raven, for finally letting me get this off my chest. Many blessings to you and all of your listeners. And one more thing, truth really is stranger than fiction. My husband and I experienced a sudden shift to day, or something else, at about midnight one night. We were outside late smoking in my driveway. It was dark because it was the middle of the night. Suddenly we saw a wall of light approach us from far off. Not like a flash or explosion, it was a wall of light. We could see it approaching despite happening in theory at the speed of light. Then, it was upon us. It lit up our entire neighborhood like it was day, but oddly it felt like we were both in this light, and we felt it pass through us. Then it passed behind us and was gone. I checked our security camera. It indeed showed the entire world lit up like day, but it was so fast in real time. Like a sudden blip that, when I paused the video and found the point in time it was dark, then light, and then dark, it was literally one frame of the video footage where everything was lit up like day. I saved the video and the screenshots. I sent the screenshots to my mom and then realized the light created no shadows. It also didn't alter the shadows formed by our security light, where that light shined behind us, towards the cars parked in front of us. Like the source was from everywhere, all around us, just as if we were in the light source. There were no shadows from us, none of our cars, not even below the cars or in front. So the source was neither above us nor in front of us like a flash. The source was everywhere, for that split fraction of a second. Yet we had been able to see the wall of light approach, as if it had a physical edge, and we were able to see in the moment that all was daylight for just a moment. Daylight without shadows. It was a significant enough length of time experienced by us both to take this all in, despite seeing on camera that it had been so fast that only one single frame of film caught it. What was that? How can that be explained? Had it been a brilliant flash of light or explosion, we'd have seen the shadows created. Was it alien, paranormal, or otherworldly? Was there an atomic bomb and we shifted realities? I doubt that, as we had video evidence in our new reality if that had been the case. I don't get it. There was no temperature difference. There was no sound. We were just suddenly in a pure light source for that moment in time, as it physically traveled through us, around us, and was then gone. Any thoughts or rational explanations? I don't understand most of what I'm about to write. I was born in 1981, but I have lived much of my life many times. I would like to say that it all started a long time ago, but it's not true. It started sometimes later and sometimes earlier in my life. I feel like I've been alive for thousands of years, but it's always been between 1981 and 2043. As far back as I can remember, I was always able to manifest all of what I've wanted, or should I say what I needed. You know people who talk about the secret and positive thinking? Something similar. Imagine if every time you think of something happening, it happens, positive or negative. At first, it wasn't anything extraordinary. It was more like going to the bank to find that my account was empty, then wondering what I should do for food the next week. Then, as I look for a solution, I see that someone lost money on the ground. One time I forgot to bring a fork for lunch during a night shift. I look all over to find one to finally give up and accept that I'll have to eat my pasta with my hand. Then on my way to the lunchroom, I see a fork left where the fire extinguisher is. I know that those stories don't seem extraordinary, but this is how I started to understand the power of manifestation. It's almost like having a guardian angel that gives you what you need when you need it. I wasn't rich, and I didn't want to be. I wanted to be happy. But happiness is hard, and the power of manifestation can happen in negative ways. In 2006, I was in Banff. I took the bus to go to Calgary. In the bus, there was a beautiful woman. The type of woman that I couldn't stop looking at. And I felt as if I knew her. An automatic connection. I didn't know her and was way too shy to even talk to her. When my bus stops, I left the bus and went shopping in downtown Calgary. On my walk towards downtown, she was on the other side of the road. Then, an hour later, I saw her at the Starbucks. Our eyes crossed, and she seemed stressed. It was weird. It was as if I could feel something, as if it was a reason for why I was there. She then crossed the road and went to a hotel. I then decide to do something that seems crazy. I decide to test myself. I knew that she was in the hotel, but at that moment, I couldn't see her anymore. So I decide to walk and listen to my inside feelings. Elevator, floor 5. The elevator door opens. I walk in and try to imagine on what would be her room door. Again, I thought I was crazy. Why am I doing this? I just felt it inside of me. I had to. Door 55. I look at it and I feel it. She's some type of escort. I could see it in my mind. I could see men abusing her. I could see him taking advantage of her. I could see him killing her. Or was it all just my imagination in my head? But inside of me, I wish that I could be her man. She needed me to be that man, so that I could give her love, protect her. If I could enter that man's head, then I could change the story. Maybe. Do I just imagine the story, or do I use something I know? At that moment, I can see myself doing exactly that. It was as if I was in some type of trance. Again, am I crazy, or am I able to take over this man's brain? I'm connected to them, to her, to him. Then it stops, and I don't feel anything anymore. I feel crazy. What's going on? I run to the elevator and go to the lobby. I later see her get out of the hotel, but I now don't feel anything anymore, other than the satisfaction and accomplishment. But what happened to me? I walk for a long time in the town the rest of the day, not understanding myself, not knowing what was true or not. I took the last bus to go back to my house in Banff. I later found out that that woman was killed with her daughters in 2016, by the exact same men. It was as if I couldn't stop it from happening. I like to think that she had an extra 10 years on her life. Another time, in 2015, I'm driving a truck of CO2. I lose control and roll over in the ditch. My tank explodes and the cold white vapor enters my cabin. I'm suffocating and dying, and I can hear people yelling. Then I wake up and was now 8 years old. Sometime I woke up at 52 years old. Each time knowing what the world should be. I can see people who have accomplished great things in other timelines now being very ordinary. So I have given myself a mission to help them, to be this angel. It's impossible to imagine how hurtful it is to see someone who you know as a country's leader now being a street junkie. I know my story sounds a little bit like Groundhog Day, but it's not the same. It's not always the same day. It's hard for me to remember past timelines. Sometimes 25 years can happen without timeline changes. It's like thinking of something that happened many, many years ago, but technically it didn't happen yet. And maybe it won't. I also wonder what happens to myself when I move to the next timeline. Do I always die? Or does life continue on for myself, but my mind moves? I don't understand why it happens. It feels like I've been alive for thousands of years. 1,000 years between 1981 and 2043. I know that others will deny this story to be true. And honestly, I don't know who would believe me. My story is hard to classify as a glitch, as it hasn't happened yet. So let's call it a potential glitch. I don't usually like to talk about it because I try to forget it, but here we are. In 1989, I was 10 years old and my father was diagnosed with cancer. Don't worry, it was a curable one, but still, back then the chemotherapy treatments were rough. I remember my father being really sick for about a week between each session. Anyways, he happened to have 2 surgeries during his treatments, and every time he had total anesthesia. When he was about to fall asleep, he would have very vivid and short dreams. Dreams or some sort of visions. I like to think they were regular dreams, but usually dreams are made of nonsense or things that we do or worry about during the day. The first time he had surgery, he had one of those dreams of my cousin holding 2 newborn babies and saying, "Hey, look," while being extremely happy. The year after, my cousin's wife was pregnant, and you guessed it, they had twins. We couldn't believe it. We felt that my father had seen some sort of future during his surgery. It was just so incredible. On his second surgery, my father had another dream, and this one is a bit more creepy. It has haunted me since I was 10 years old, and even if I try, I cannot forget it. So, this one was about me. He saw me old, lying in an opened coffin. While being creepy, we also all know that it will happen someday, so no big deal and no surprises. However, he also saw or knew somehow that the year was 2054. I don't really believe in visions or premonitions, usually. I'm more on the coincidence side. But obviously this one is, and always was, hard on me. Although it was useful once in my life when I've been hospitalized and was so sick from pneumonia that I thought I might die from it. Then I just kept remembering that I was not due until 2054. So this kind of comforted me. But as the years go by, I feel the clock ticking louder and louder. In 2054, I will be 76. I feel like I won't be going out that year, but this frightens me so bad. What if my fear triggers an event? Or if I don't care and go on with my life, am I going directly into what's set to happen? Can I change the course of things while being careful that year or with my death? Or is it already written in stone somehow? What do you think? And what would you do? Hey Raven, greetings from sunny South Africa. In 2017, myself, my then husband, and our 2 kids were driving home from a long cross-country road trip. The day had been awful and we were all tired of being in the car. Day turned to night, and the kids fell asleep in their car seats. We stopped for gas and some snacks as we still had a very long trip ahead. As we left the gas station, I felt a cold tingle run up my arms and thought, that's strange. You see, the last time I felt that was when I was 10, just before I electrocuted myself by accident, and woke up on the kitchen floor. I let the strange feeling go and we carried on driving. About half an hour after leaving the gas station, we were driving through farmland going uphill. A truck was coming up the hill on the opposite side of the road, and he had his brights on. As we reached the top of the hill, said truck started blaring its horns at us. Just then, bright lights appeared in the windscreen. It was a truck. Another truck was overtaking the first one and had driven onto our side of the road to do so. I knew this was it. There was nowhere to go. We didn't even have seconds. I turned and looked at my kids, closed my eyes, and braced for impact. I heard it. I heard the crunch of metal on metal. I heard myself scream, but I don't remember actually screaming. Then I tasted blood. And then I opened my eyes. We were driving downhill, still on the road. I looked at my ex and said, "What? How? How do we not get hit?" He smiled at me and said that he had ample time to swerve away. I was shook and out of sorts, body shaking, and my mind was going at 1,000 miles an hour. He told me not to be dramatic. I couldn't help it. I was pretty sure we had all just died. After that night, there were changes in everything. Our house burnt down, he lost his job, he became abusive, and then in turn led to our divorce. It felt like I was married to a whole new man. If this is quantum immortality, then it's not the first time I've died. I live in Prince Edward Island, Canada, just outside the capital city of Charlottetown. I'm a cleaner at a food processing facility where I work 5 days a week. Sometimes I take the car to work, and other times I ride my bicycle, but normally I ride the bus 3 times a week. I've been taking the bus for about 18 months, so I've met all the drivers on my route. Today I experienced something that continues to blow my mind. I wasn't drinking or under the influence of any substance. What I saw that morning must be a glitch or something bizarre. It was about 7:35 a.m. on August 20th, 2024. It was a Tuesday, so I expected to see Dave driving the bus, but instead a middle-aged blonde man was driving. I've never seen him before, so I assume he's a substitute driver. I tell him that I will need to transfer to bus 2 at the upcoming junction so I can continue my commute. It is a 10-minute drive to my transfer bus, and I read a book that I happen to have with me. The book is quite good, and I'm engrossed in my reading. We reach the transfer point, and I'm relieved the local road construction didn't cause any delays, so I won't be late for work. Putting away my book, I approach the door right across from the driver and turn to thank the driver as I always do. And I'm stunned to see my regular Tuesday driver Dave is driving the bus. Dave is a thin, middle-aged man with brown hair, and Dave looks nothing like the blonde man who picked me up 10 minutes earlier. I hide my shock and exit the bus without saying anything besides, "Thanks, Dave." I didn't want to waste time trying to explain what I saw. How could a totally different person be operating the bus 1 minute, and the normal everyday driver be there moments later? I boarded the transfer bus to continue my commute, and there was no further incident, but I couldn't stop thinking about what I saw. I didn't even resume my reading. Arriving at work, I told the one person I trust the most about my bizarre experience on the bus, and she didn't appear to judge me. Did my mind play tricks on me? Or was it something else? So that, my friends, was this week's collection of Glitch in the Matrix stories. We are back to Mondays after last week's little glitch in the technology. Hopefully that doesn't ever happen again. If it does, I'll let you all know. I won't let it affect me nearly as much a second time if it does happen again, but it did bother me. Because I was... In short words, I don't want to continuously say the same thing over and over again. I was a little worried. I was definitely worried. Once the takedown notices by YouTube came in from the other channel, I was a little worried that 900 videos from my channel were about to be just chopped off at the... Well, I don't know what you would chop a video off at. Never mind. They were about to be just lobbed off the channel, if you will. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Thankfully, I was able to get the whole thing sorted in 24 hours. It was a very tense 24 hours, though. I will say that. But we're good. Anyways, back to Monday Glitch Stories. Hopefully, you all enjoyed these Monday Glitch Stories. I did. Glitch Stories are always interesting and entertaining to me. Definitely some bizarre stuff this week and every week that I do them. And I always appreciate the people who send their stories in. It's very nice of you to do so. Especially with everything going on, I still received submissions. Some people said screw it, went to the website, continued on submitting the stories. Some people went to my email. No, they didn't go to my email. They went to their email and emailed me their stories, which is fine. That works too. One person posted to my subreddit. So even whenever things were down and not working properly, you guys still found a way to get your stories to me. And that means a lot. So thank you. Now, hopefully you all enjoyed these glitch stories. If you did, please do hit that like button below the video. If you are new to the channel and enjoyed what you heard, consider hitting that subscribe button. That helps the channel grow. You can also listen on other platforms, such as Spotify, Audible, Apple, etc., etc., all those platforms. Just search as The Raven Dreams. It's the best way to find me. You can submit your stories, not submit your websites. Submit your stories to the website at astheravendreams.com or r/theravendream, or just send them in an email to astheravendreams@gmail.com. You can do a super thanks, which is a tip to the channel. You can join Patreon and memberships, get early access to content like this. Here very soon I will have merch up for sale, specifically posters, signed posters. The posters finally came in last week, I think, at some point. Maybe the week before. Anyways, pulled them out. They are beautiful. They are perfect. Paper's a little thin, but I don't think that'll be a problem. The print is perfect. The price was legit. And I now have 100 posters to sell. So if anyone wants a poster, hit me up. I'll figure out the details later. I will sign them if you want. With metallic Sharpie, probably. I think purple, if I still have them. I used to have purple metallic Sharpies that I loved signing things with. Oh, favorite thing ever. I gotta find them, though. I don't know where they are. Purple or blue. I see a blue one over there, so. Yeah, not much else to say. Word of the week, obviously. So on the screen now is a collection of all the people who submitted their comments to the video 2 weeks ago. And, of course, thank you to each and every single one of you who commented on that video with the word of the week. You all are amazing people. I appreciate you doing it. It's never expected, but you guys come through each and every time. It's a fun thing. I love the interactions, so yeah. One more time, thank you to everyone on the screen right now and several minutes prior to now. You are amazing people. If you didn't comment, that's totally okay too. I don't ever expect or anticipate you to. Now, this week, the word of the week is repeat. Now, this week, the word of the week is repeat. Now, this week, the word of the week is repeat. Which means to say or state again, to say over from memory, to say after another, or to make, do, or perform again. You all know what repeat means. 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 Well, that's it, friends. Hope you're having a beautiful day and a beautiful week so far. Hope I see you again here very soon. But until then, remember that you are loved, you are valid, you are important, you are the best you that you can be. Do not forget it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And until next time, my friends, much love, and sleep well.